Former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, current Democratic Congresswoman, appeared on CNN's Anderson Cooper show last night. And she was asked to explain, why do so many Democrats not like Joe Biden, the idea of Joe Biden running again? Why is that? And Nancy Pelosi struggled to explain this. And to some degree, there isn't really an explanation. And what I mean by that is, yeah, there are people who just don't think Biden should run again. And it's for a combination of different reasons. And there's really no way to explain it away. Let's take a look at some of this interview. There's a bunch of interesting things here to talk about.
There's obviously, look, even among very loyal Democrats, there's a lot of concerns about the president. Is he the best candidate to defeat Donald Trump, the best candidate to defeat any of the Republicans who are running right now?
I think so. Yes. President Biden has he has great experience and wisdom. He's been at this for a long time, as you know, as a senator, vice president, and now president. He has a vision for our country that's about fairness and justice and addressing the kitchen table issues of America's working families. He has that vision. He knows why he wants to be president and is president. He has knowledge of the issues and therefore judgment to be respected and wisdom that he brings to the table.
So why is there such concern among a lot of Democrats about him?
Well, I travel a bit in those circles of Democrats, nationally and politically, and while there may be some concerns, everybody's for him. Overwhelmingly, everybody's for him.
Do you think there's any chance he does not continue running?
I hope not.
So let's address what we've heard so far. It is not true that everybody is for Biden if you ask them, do you want Joe Biden to run for re-election? But this is a different question from, if Joe Biden is on the ballot in November of 2024, will you vote for him over Trump? Will you vote for him over DeSantis or Vivek Ramaswamy or whoever? There are really two different discussions happening here. And Nancy Pelosi is right about one of them, and she is sort of ignoring or sidestepping the other. And this is a conversation we've had on this show. I don't like doing the thing on this show that happens on some shows, from what I've read in medical journals that happens. From what I see anecdotally and from what people tell me, which is that a lot of shows on the left seem, I don't want to say forced, but they seem driven to take either an unabashedly pro-Biden view or an unabashedly anti-Biden view. But I think reality is a bit more nuanced than that. Is Joe Biden the best person to defeat Trump in 2024, given that he is the incumbent president and that it would be a rematch of the 2020 election? Is a very different question than, if I could just have my pick of Democrats, would I pick Joe Biden out of the blue and say, this is the guy I want to represent the Democratic Party? Those are two different questions. I do believe at this point, barring evidence to the contrary, that if it is Trump on the Republican ticket, that Joe Biden is as well positioned as anyone to defeat Trump again. And this is partially because of the power of the incumbency. This is partially because the economy under Biden has been pretty damn solid, and we don't have to dig into it. There are elements of the economy that aren't working. It is partially because Joe Biden has done more than any president in history on student loan forgiveness. He's now making moves on cannabis. He's done a bunch of CHIPS Act, so many different things. So given where we are, unless you can come to me, like if you came to me with tears in your eyes and said, David, if Biden were replaced with Hillary, it would be better. Or if Biden were replaced with Bernie, Bernie would have a better shot at winning. I don't think that there's any evidence to suggest that right now. So is Biden the best person to defeat Trump in 24, given that he's already the president and given everything that's happened? I think the answer is it's quite possible that he is. The second question is, if we just had no precursor, no incumbent, and it's just like, David, who do you pick to be the Democratic nominee? I'm not choosing Joe Biden out of the blue. I really like the tone and tenor of Gavin Newsom lately, and I think he would have exactly the right. There's a timing aspect. I think a lot of what Gavin Newsom is doing and how he's talking about issues is quite frankly perfect for the time in which we find ourselves. And I could list other people. These are two different questions, and it's okay that we might have two different answers. Let's watch a little more of this.
I hope not. I mean, this president...
David Ignatius recently came out saying he thinks the former president should not run.
Yeah, so that's one. And he also said he shouldn't run because he allowed me to go to Taiwan. Nobody allows me to do anything. I was Speaker of the House, and the invitation came from the Taiwan government for me to go there. It wasn't up to David Ignatius.
Is Vice President Kamala Harris the best running mate for this president?
He thinks so, and that's what matters. And by the way,
you think so?
She's very politically astute. I don't think people give her enough credit. She's, of course, values-based, consistent with the president's values and the rest. And people don't understand, she's politically astute. Why would she be vice president if she were not? But when she was running for attorney general in California, she had 6% in the polls. 6% in the polls. And she politically astutely made her case about why she would be good, did her politics, and became attorney general. So people shouldn't underestimate what Kamala Harris brings to the table.
But do you think she is the best running mate, though?
She's the vice president of the United States. So when people say to me, well, why isn't she doing this or that? I said, because she's the vice president. That's the job description.
So listen, again, on Kamala Harris, is Kamala Harris the best running mate as of today? Because if you say no, you're talking about Joe Biden announcing Vice President Harris will not be joining me in my reelection ticket. This generates an atmosphere of conflict. This generates an atmosphere of uncertainty, and replacing your vice president for a reelection campaign raises red flags, draws attention to you. If a president were to replace their running mate for the reelection campaign, the person you replace them with has to be so overwhelmingly positive in what they bring to you that it will counteract and overwhelm the negatives of saying, I'm kind of firing this person, quite frankly. That's a different question from, again, starting from zero, is Kamala Harris, who I would say, I believe this is the best vice president we could get. Her approval rating's not great, but it's actually not that bad. It's about 39%. In the modern political era, 39% approval for a vice president is pretty typical. But more importantly, vice presidential approval ratings don't determine who people vote for president. I can't think of any scenario where someone is considering Trump or Biden and is going to say, you know, I would vote for Biden were it not that I don't love what Kamala Harris has been doing. So I will risk democracy at its core by voting for Trump instead. Maybe those voters exist anecdotally, but that is not a significant portion of the electorate. So Nancy Pelosi understandably struggling to sort of understand these, to answer these questions, not because she doesn't have answers, I think, but because as an elected official of the Democratic Party, it would look bad if she were to say, listen, neither of these people would be my first choices, but we are where we are and the power of incumbency is strong. That's really where we are. I can say it because as someone who's just in the media and I'm not even a Democrat, there's no downside for me to tell you, listen, I do think that this is the ticket that's most likely to defeat Trump based on everything I know today. But these are not my favorite Democrats. These are not the people I would pull out of a hat if I were just given the carte blanche to say, pick a ticket and put it up there. So Nancy Pelosi struggling a little bit to dance around and sort of answer these questions. She may genuinely think Joe Biden is God's gift to politics. I don't know. But the reality right now is, who would we choose out of the blue is a different question than, is this the most logical way to try to prevent a Trump or DeSantis victory in November of 24? Until I see evidence to the contrary, I believe the answer is it probably is the best ticket to defeat Trump. I may end up eating my microphone depending on what happens in November of 2024. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. 1.9 million subscribers is very close. And once we get there, the race to 2 million is on.